Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, we're going to focus on the Dow Industrials today and then drill in and take a look at the Magnificent Seven. So let's start off here with a side-by-side view of the industrials and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. The Dow was up 851 points this last week, so continuing to surge in here. It'll be interesting to see how these last 3 weeks end up, is this a peak? We're definitely getting some divergence that is showing up here. It's even more pronounced when you look over a longer term period. And I think the divergence and flags that are waving over here is even stronger on the S&P 500. It was up 98.72. You can see that right here on the week. So I would say strongest move, a little less strong, and then the weakest move of the three, up 382 points on the NASDAQ 100. But we have definitely got divergence that is showing up on these two for sure, and a little bit here on the Dow Industrials. So I'm looking at this, and here's the weekly and daily view. On Friday, the Dow was up 426 points. Strong Thursday, Friday thrust to the upside. Now, the real question is this a part of a counter trend move, with this being the first wave down in this counter trend? It's gone pretty deep if it is. If we continue to push higher and take out this high right here on November 11th, then you've got to sit back and say, okay, the wave count that I've got is not done. I've looked at this. Let me scroll like this. Here we go. It's a little bit better. I'm looking at from the low of October of 22. So we're talking 2 years ago, right? I think that we are either finishing the third minor wave up or we are about to finish it. We're very close. And here's the divergence that's pretty doggone pronounced in here between the third and the fifth wave. And in that last wave, we're getting this divergence that's showing up here. And again, this is the weekly view, but that's okay. The expectation is now for a bigger fourth wave type of correction. Now, how big and how long, who knows? Fourth waves have a tendency to be a little more sideways. They have a tendency to alternate with wave two. Wave two looks to me like a zigzag pullback, about 50%. And so we'll see what we get in here, but we got to finish off and have the price action start to roll over and break down and take us lower here on the Dow Industrials. So that is the picture that we've got there. We've got similar pictures on the others, but I'm not going to go into them today. What I want to do is look at the Magnificent Seven, and let's just look at what's been going on since election day. And I'm going to scan through all of these. So here's the picture daily, weekly of Apple, okay? Up 2.9%. And what I'm doing is I'm measuring this from election day, the close on November 5th. So we're up 2.9%, kind of just pushing a little bit higher in here. We had, let's see, 4 out of the 7 Magnificent Seven were positive over this period, which is almost 3 weeks. Be 3 weeks this coming Tuesday. So let's take a look at Amazon. Minus 1.2%. A little more weakness kicking in. When you look over here on the weekly chart, almost looks like a little bit of a bull trap with this breakout. And then we kind of a reversal back down and closing below the July high. So we'll see where this goes. When you go down into Alphabet Class A, down 2.9%. Now, I've talked about this. I call it Google. I talked about this a couple of videos ago. And this was classic. This was post-earnings in terms of the move, the thrust up. It closed this big gap. We had this counter trend channel. It looked like a zigzag to me. And then what did we do? We came down a little, pulled back, and now we rolled over and broke down out of that channel here Thursday, Friday. Okay, and you know the news that's going on with that, antitrust, etc., talking about breaking up. Well, they did the same thing with Microsoft, I guess. We'll see how things play out. But down 2.9% since Election Day. Now, let's take a look at Meta. Meta down 2.3%. Now, this one is a little more kind of chopping around. What was the high? We're back over here. October 5th was the high here. So we'll see if this is just some kind of consolidation or is it in the process of rolling over. Microsoft, this was looking pretty toppy when I looked at the weekly chart. I mean, this looked very, very toppy, but in reality, it hasn't broken down over the last couple of months. And here's what it's done since Election Day, up at 1.4%. Now, not huge, but still slightly up to the down at the close on Friday. Okay, and then when we look at NVIDIA, I talked about NVIDIA last week. My picture here with this rising wedge on the daily hasn't changed. Now, it's not looking so great because of what's happened here over the last week. So here's last Friday when I talked about it. Now, even at that point, it had pushed out into the apex quite far, okay? And when that happens, that kind of weakens the structure of things, okay? The most ideal breakdown out of a wedge is when it breaks down about 2/3 of the way out to the apex. Well, we'll see what's happening here because I hadn't changed these trend lines. We had this little breakdown. We snapped back up. The earnings came out here on Wednesday after the market. Here's Thursday's gyrations that occurred during the day. And what did it do? Went all the way up to the top of the wedge and then came right back down. And here's how we closed on Friday. So the net out here is to keep the comparison with the others, up 1.5% since Election Day. Now we'll see if this is going to hold or not because this has got even more divergence on the daily, not just the weekly. We're seeing divergence on the daily, and I would not be surprised to see this continue to roll over and break down and take a break. Am I expecting a crash? No. I'm expecting a correction in a bull market. Okay, because I think this bull has got more to go, but short term, near term, I think we got a correction coming. And here's the trend line showing, connecting the prices and connecting the disconnect on the RSI over here on NVIDIA. And then last but not least, Tesla, up 40.2% since Election Day. Pretty incredible. And of course, we all know what's been in the news and all over everywhere related to Elon Musk. But this has been one heck of a surge, up 40.2%. It'll be interesting to see if this thing can continue. Now, we've got a little bit of divergence that's showing up. I almost hesitate to call it divergence because, the Friday's price did close slightly above the high here, or the close on November 11th. So we'll see, it's the momentum and the strength in this is pretty strong. So that's the picture there. So we have 4 out of the 7. And what's interesting? I had this thought too, and I'll close with this back over here on the Dow Industrials. Okay. So now we have 4 out of the 7 Magnificent 7 are in the Dow Industrials. We'll see how that changes, because NVIDIA was added on November 8th. So we have Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and NVIDIA now in the 30 Dow Industrials. And that could have kind of make this a little bit less of a sleepy and get a little bit more attention going into what this index is doing. Okay, that's it for this weekend. If you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this information on a regular basis, head on over to joehenches.net. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.